was 4th of July, 2009, about 12 o'clock in the morning, and I go outside. I used to smoke at the time, so I'd have the last cigarette. Just outside of here, I thought it was just a satellite, you know, drifting up in the sky. And I got the pictures to document that. I mean, it just goes from space to right there in the backyard, right above the tree line. It was this massive glowing disc. And I'm just like completely terrified. And then because of some force or some technology, I can't fight falling asleep. And it's just blackout.
After the encounter, Rob could not remember what occurred after blacking out. All he knew was he was gone for nearly 5 hours. In UFO abductions cases, this is known as missing time. After months of struggling to uncover what happened, Rob turned to hypnotherapy. During his session, Rob was able to recall the following memories of his abduction. His life would never be the same.
I'm having an experience where I'm actually in a ship. I can see my body strapped into a chair. The top of my skull was removed, and I can see my living brain.
Rob was not alone.
And there are these 3 beings, 2 on each side of me and the one behind me. They look like a
humanoid.
2 arms, 2 legs. I don't really remember too much about you know, of what I saw. But I remember they were rubbing their fingers on my brain. Next thing I know, it's just blackness, and I wake up like, what am I doing in bed? You know, like, holy crap, I went through that. Wow, I saw that, and I just can't, you know.
It's terrifying, though.
Yeah, oh, completely
Absolutely
horrifying.
terrifying.
I was horrified.
So I know a lot of people ask, and I'd like to know, like, how did you come to terms with knowing that you were awake? And this wasn't just like a lucid dream.
When I started getting the marks, you can see what I'm talking about. So like, here's an example of one of the body marks. This is my calf. It's healed, right? You can see the bruise is kind of like faded,
Right.
but it used to be 3 perfect circle bruises, right? Then of course, you can see that they scooped out a little piece of my skin, about the size of a fingernail.
So what happened here? This is your left rib cage?
Right.
Right side?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What I know about scratch marks and stuff, when a human finger scratches someone like this, because of the width of the fingernail, you also get a raised rash sort of along that track.
Yeah.
Okay, this looks more like a claw.
Yeah, claws. I'm guessing.
That's terrifying.
It hurt for weeks, man.
Wow.
First time I had contact, we were living in communist-occupied Germany in a little village. I was 3 years old.
At 3 years old,
At 3 years
they're
old.
monitoring you.
Yes. It is very, how should I say, trying at times to digest it all, you know?
Can you give me kind of the description of what they look like?
They have elongated faces. All their hair was no curls, just straight, and all were cut at the shoulders. They all had the same haircut. One time I thought I had a dream, but it wasn't. All of a sudden, I was up in a huge hangar. Kind of ahead of me, I saw 2 tall white Pleiadians. And I couldn't move, I was pinned to a slab. They had a long, very soft instrument that they inserted. And then they would draw like a little sack with the fetus inside. And somebody would come right away and they rush it off. I was in tears and I was crying the last one that they took, and I was like, please, I was begging them, please.
Barbara passed out. But the ordeal was far from over.
Woke up in the morning, went to the bathroom. there was some blood, and the fetus was gone.
The encounters with Pleiadians and Greys continued throughout her life.
I had 5 miscarriages. That was really very painful, and a lot of blood and everything, and cramping. They actually induced that. They harvested me.
It was a Thursday afternoon, and I get home from work, and I go out on the back porch just to relax. I had seen what appeared to be this wavy thing. It was above the trees. It was about 10 to 12 feet in length, and it just sounded like something was walking over there by the edge of the woods.
Something large?
Yeah. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what in the world is that? I'm not thinking alien. I'm not thinking any of that. That's not going through my head. And all of a sudden, I can see him. This thing was a human body, 6'2", 6'3", very, very well built, military-type body. But he had a creature's head. And he had these massive, very pronounced jawbones. When I saw his eyes, I thought, that can't possibly be his eyes, because he can't close them. There's no way to close them. And I thought, if he knows I can see him, he's gonna kill me.
Because of the look, stature, and height of the alien being, Trish felt threatened immediately. She created a digital sketch of what she saw.
I created something off the internet.
Oh
and
my
this
gosh.
is really close.
Trish, this would be terrifying.
And I'm like, he's gonna kill me. So I thought, if I pretend that I don't see him, then I might be safe. So I just kept playing with my phone, and he just stared at me, and then he turned around and he looked into the woods again. And turned back around, he took a couple more steps. All I kept thinking was, if I dial 911 and the police show up and they see all those cops and everything coming here, he's gonna annihilate us. So he takes about 5 or 6, 7 steps forward towards that wavy thing. When he enters that wavy thing, everything disappears. So what I did was I sat there for a couple minutes. After a couple minutes, I got up. I wanted to see if I could see that UFO. Couldn't see it. I couldn't see it anywhere.
Did you tell anybody about this after the event?
No. I didn't tell anybody for 4 years. I work with government contractors. I have a clearance. It's not something that you just go out and tell people, oh, I saw an alien. I could possibly lose my job.
Though Trish stayed silent for years, she never forgot the encounter in her backyard. Eventually, she came across the Mutual UFO Network, or MUFON, online. Their specialty, deciphering UFO sightings.
So it also had a link to report. And I thought, I'm gonna tell. I know what I saw. I don't have to justify anything to anybody. I got an email back from John Gagnon with MUFON, and he started talking to me, and he came out here. We did a walk through the woods and everything. I showed him where I saw the alien. So he walked around with me and everything, and he said, why don't you get a hunting tracker? And I did. I bought one.
Trish installed a hunting tracker, a motion-triggered camera used to track game, in her backyard, aimed at where she had seen the alien. A few weeks later, it captured something shocking.
I did get a really good photo of a UFO.
Really?
And I can show you a picture of that.
I would love to see that, please.
Trish's trail cam was triggered to take this photo after detecting rapid motion. The UFO appears to be streaking away at a near-perfect vertical ascent. Photo analysis conducted by MUFON concluded that this object was 27 feet wide and 12 to 13 feet long, with no visible means of propulsion.
The most interesting event was actually years ago, where I became pregnant and I got a pregnancy test positive.
Were you, I know this is kind of personal, but were you and your partner trying to have children?
No, we weren't trying to have children.
You were thinking it could possibly be a child
Yeah.
from your partner.
Exactly. Next thing you know, I have a miscarriage and there's no fetus, there's nothing.
Geraldine had been pregnant for 8 weeks when she miscarried. A fetus should have been visibly present. But even though her doctor confirmed Geraldine was exhibiting the signs of a miscarriage, there was no sign of the fetus.
Every time I would become pregnant, I would have a miscarriage, or a miscarriage where there wouldn't be the fetus. The fetus would be missing.
Okay, that's pretty incredible. So you're saying, like, you felt like you're pregnant,
Yeah.
so you go to the doctor and you have a pregnancy test and it comes back positive.
Yeah. So when I would see the doctor, and I saw different doctors over the years, they wouldn't know how to explain what had happened to me. And of course, neither did I. So then I said, okay, maybe I can't have children. After that happened, like 5 years went by. In 2013, I had a conscious experience in my bedroom.
Even though it was 7 years ago, Geraldine can still recall every detail.
I was sleeping, and all of a sudden I wake up because there's a bright light in my room. And as I look down at my phone, it says 3:30 in the morning. And part of me was a little bit afraid at that moment because it was thinking, oh, is there someone outside my window? So I look outside my window, and the light is so bright that it's burning my eyes. And next thing I know, my entire body paralyzes. And I feel my body being taken through the window. I was brought to a craft. I was paralyzed. This being comes next to me, and I'm terrified at this point, but I can't even scream.
So what did the aliens look like?
They're very tall. They are these grays. They have these giant eyes.
The Greys, also known as the Zeta Reticulans, are said to be tall, slender creatures with large eyes and gray skin.
Would you say it was the scariest thing that's ever happened to you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But there's more. Geraldine claims that aliens actually presented her to her alien human children.
This being is show me these children. And as I'm looking at these children and I see what they look like, they're not all the way human. This gray, thin skin, it's a much bigger head. And these giant eyes that are so deep and so profound and so complex. It was just incredible. But what I recognized as I'm meeting the child is that it's my child. It looks like me. It has something that is a part of me.
At this moment, Geraldine realized why she could never get pregnant. She believed she wasn't having miscarriages. Her unborn children were being stolen from her womb and mutated with alien DNA.
As I'm seeing the child in front of me, I know that it's mine.
Okay.
And I'm wanting to take care of them. And before I start to feel that, they immediately remove everything away from me. And then I'm, opening my eyes and I'm upside down on the end of my bed.
This might be the more difficult thing to talk about. The car pulls up, you're seeing this orb. And then from that point to when you finally wake up, can you give us the details of what you remember?
Yes.
Tom found himself on a massive alien ship with no idea where his family was.
I remember being in the hangar. I was sitting on this, what looked like an autopsy table.
But he was not alone.
There were other figures there. Some looked like an ant, the head like a football. stick-like legs, like bamboo.
There was nowhere to run.
This apparatus came down from the ceiling, held me in place, and then these packets were put on my body to look like giant raisins.
What are you feeling this whole time?
I mean, I was going in and out of being scared. And, you know, I remember other things, too, that I don't say too often, like being hurt. I remember sitting somewhere and screaming because I had, like, what felt like boiling water going through my back and arms.
Like they put something in you?
It's what it felt like, maybe a liquid or a fluid. So that was painful. The arm was painful.
I think it's terrifying.
It's like
That's absolutely terrifying.
I was just, it was like right now, I'll get the chill thing again.
Did your mom or grandma experience similar things?
I remember what I believed to be my mother calling for me, screaming.
As a father, I can tell you that it's pretty heartbreaking to me. I would want to do everything I could to try and find out why. You're saying it looked like an insectoid, sort of ant-like head?
Yes, I got a picture of it actually in my case.
Why don't you pull that out for us?
This is a very good depiction, and my brother and I paid a fortune to have this done.
Oh.